Today let's look at training the tuck handstands using a box. Now we can do tuck holds in this position with different heights in different positions, either like this away from the wall or close to the wall. We can do entries going all the way to our straight handstand and back down again to the box. Now a box like this works really well because it has the 3 different heights. But you could use something like this. You could use a lower bench, the kitchen table, the kitchen chairs, something. But you just need to be a little bit careful with how you do it in terms of the setup. Now, if you notice in this position now at this height, my shoulders have to come further forwards and it's more of a muscled planche entry and is a little bit more sketchy coming back down to the target. So obviously it needs to match, well, I've missed it. It needs to match your current flexibility, your handstand control, and your confidence in the position and playing with it. But something like this box is probably your best option. And remember, you can add things to this if you're not so flexible or confident in the position. So I can add mats, yoga blocks, a box to a box. And then obviously this makes it much easier, maybe not easier to get into the position, but it makes it easier to get into the tuck because it doesn't demand so much flexibility. And I can get into it there. And then it's easier to push up to handstand because I don't have to go so far. Now, if you're not so confident in a freestanding position, especially when you're opening up to your handstand, you could use a setup like this, where you put the ball, where you put the box close-ish to the wall. It's a bit tricky to get into it now because you don't have much space. But we climb into here, put the hands close-ish to the box. If you don't do that, it's going to be really hard for you to pull off, and it's an incorrect position when we're learning the tuck handstand because we need to make sure with the tuck that it's balanced on top of the base. So I want the shoulders to be more or less stacked on top of the hands, and then the knees as deep as we can, and the heels to be nice and close to the butt, and then from there we can go up using the wall if we need to for assistance, and then exit back out. Now you can do static holds in that position and just hold there for time, working conditioning in the tuck handstand. But for conditioning and mobility, I would still use the chest to wall version. Now the reason that is better for most people is that when we climb into the chest to wall against the wall, it's easier to do it. And then I can use the wall to push my hips one direction as I push my shoulders in the opposite direction. So I'm trying to take my shoulders this way and my hips are going in the opposite direction because the femur, when I'm at 90 degrees, is stopping me getting any closer to the wall with the hips, and that's maintaining that position. And then I just work on my hand placement, making it closer and closer to the wall, and the exercise is more about pushing up and opening the shoulders as much as you can. So great mobility tuck handstand exercise, but lifting up to handstand, the box is your friend, especially when you can change the heights. Now we can talk about that goal of getting into a handstand tuck position when the shoulders are on top of the hands. Mine's not amazingly deep, it never has been, but it's consistent and I can go from my straight to my tuck for repetitions. But that would be seen as your tuck handstand, a balanced, tight position that's stacked with the shoulders directly on top of the hands. Ideally, you'd see a nice curved spine. If you get really deep in the position, you actually get a little bit of rounding for that low back while maintaining the shoulders nicely open, which again is a great balanced position, but it's not the strongest position to carry over to more of a flex position when we want to go handstand to planche like this. So I'm in a handstand position here, and then I pass through my tuck and then come down into a tuck planche position. Now to build that strength, build that conditioning, to go up and down out of that tuck planche, the box can help us again. And what you'll notice as you go lower, so if we go to something like this height, where my tuck is definitely not flexible enough to keep my hips, shoulders and hands all stacked upon the base without the shoulders having to planche forwards. So I'm going to have my hands nice and close to the box still. I'm going to externally rotate because I know I'm going to have to planche forwards a little bit more to get up in this position. Then I'm going to go into tight tuck there. Notice the shoulders are forwards. And now I'm going to push from there. See if I can get up to my handstand. And then back down again. Notice the shoulders again. It's not going to be a graceful tuck. It's going to be a strength-based tuck that's going to carry over nicely to stool to press, tuck planche entries, and any of the strength-related handstand exercises. And then you could just keep going lower and lower. So I've got this next height, which is what, 20 inches, I think. It's going to be exactly the same as the last one, just a little bit more spicy. So the shoulders are going to have to come out even more. And I'm going to have to really use strength to get out of that position, up And then the same on the way down. Not having a conversation while I'm doing that one. And then to make the point even more and just show you the next progression is I can go even lower and use something like the magical IKEA step. Now we're talking like 10 inches or less. I haven't done this one recently, so this will be a good test. Exactly the same. External rotation, hands nice and close to the step. Knees. Okay, I'm gonna have to lean forwards, protract really hard and then push. No, I need my hands back further. Yep, that's pretty tough, but you get the idea. That's hard. But that's the beauty of using the boxes, is we can go from this high position, even with mats on there, and just work efficient, nice entries to straight handstand. Or we can go all the way down to the other extreme and use a planche press variation that needs a lot more grunt. And like I always recommend, video from the side so you can see what's happening. You can see the placement of the shoulders. You can see where the hips are. You can see how tight your ball is, because we need to make that position really closed in. It's going to make it much easier. Make sure you're being realistic about your current mobility and your current handstand ability. So can you freestand, or can you hold a straight handstand that you're trying to go into from the tuck? And then what does your actual freestanding tuck look like, or your tuck against the wall? Back to wall, chest to wall, pulling from the wall into handstand. And then train accordingly, using the wall, using freestanding, using the box. If you're after more help with your tuck training, I have programs on my app that cover the tuck mobility, the balance, and the tuck strength, whether it's tuck press or tuck planche. All the details are down in the description, or check out my website, www.paultwyman.com.au, and I'll speak to you in the next one.